Hi, good afternoon, and it's been really long since I came out with any video, but I'm sure this is something that you all must have been observing or following at least. For me, this is like one of the best events that's happening around. That is a Met Gala. So, how did I became so fascinated after watching the movie Ocean's 8? Okay, they have this heist and theft and all. So that's a very different thing. So let's come back to the topic for the day. The topic for the day that we are going to talk about is Raja Ravi Varma's paintings and IPR and AI, IPR and fashion law. So why exactly this topic, and why am I, why did I choose to talk about it today? Because again, just like previously, how Prada, just took in the GI of Indian Kolhapuri chappals and call them leather sandals. So similarly, last week, Ralph Lauren, a very renowned brand, without crediting or without even addressing um, Bandhani, which is one of the tie and dye arts of India. It's a heritage piece. They just sold a Bandhani skirt without giving proper acknowledgement to Indian art. Now, one of the best things that I loved about this Met Gala was, you know, how every Indian that was there proudly said that, these jewels are owned by me. These, the costume, the couture that they wore was custom made for them, and that had their respective states' history. Why does it matter a lot? Because if you're not aware, a lot of designers and a lot of brands, they uh, they loan the jewelry or the dresses are, of course, a lot of times they're loaned by designers because it's a free publicity. That is how the entire media industry works, and we do have separate contracts for them. uh, but yeah, so this is how it works. And when you tell somebody that there's an Indian who wore 1800 carats of diamonds, uh, that's like a real wow. Or my personal favorite, if you ask, I loved what Sudha Reddy was wearing. Loved how her costume was very beautiful. Not costume, her outfit was very beautiful. Even um, Karan Johar. So somehow Karan Johar's attire caught my attention, and that is the whole reason on why I decided that this is something that we need to talk. So being a Keralite, I heard Raja Ravi Varma about Raja Ravi Varma long ago. Uh, so the reason why I became so obsessed, or why I decided to read more about his paintings, was because uh, I saw his paintings in a lot of relatives' house, especially the lady with the lamp. Other reason why I became so, why I decided to do so much research was after I saw the movie Rang Rasiya. Do watch it. It has Randeep Hooda and Nandana Sen. It is based on the life of Raja Ravi Varma, on how he became an artist and why was it that his art was so different. He is one of the reason that gods are accessible to common man. So as you know, before, not everybody could go to temples, but he is the first person who gave a human face, a human figure to gods and goddesses. So he would ask, common men and women to dress up and then shoot them. Sorry, he would then paint them. That was way before photography became very common in India, and it was also before cinema shaped our imagination. So the one artist who changed how India visualized its gods, epics, and royalty forever was Raja Ravi Varma. By the way, he's not a real king. Raja is a title that was bestowed upon. So, what exactly made him truly revolutionary? It was just a way he merged Indian traditions with European artistic technique. So it was a time when Indian paintings were mostly flat or symbolic or miniature in style. But Raja Ravi Varma, he introduced realism in Indian art. So he's someone who had mastered oil painting, perspective, shadowing, anatomy, emotional expressions, the techniques, which usually inspired the European Renaissance artist. But instead of painting European subjects, he painted Indian stories, Indian mythology, that is Ramayana, Mahabharata, Indian women. Okay. And that is something that changed everything, because for the first time people could see gods and mythological characters as human like. They could see their emotional and relatable figures. His paintings of goddess Lakshmi, Saraswati, Damayanti, Shakuntala, and Sita were something that became very iconic because it looked very alive. The fabrics, in which they were dressed, they looked very real. The jewelry sparkled. The emotions of the god, the serenity of gods was something that was visible on the face. And every painting felt like, you know like a cinema, like a dream. I'm sure you're aware about one of his most famous works, that is Shakuntala, where she is, pretending to remove a thorn from her feet while she's secretly looking back for Dushyanta. Now, this painting is something that captured a lot of emotion, romance, and storytelling in a single frame. Another, if I were to talk about his masterpiece, that is about Damayanti and the Swan, which beautifully portrayed feminine grace and mythology together. I'm a huge Raja Ravi Varma fan, and in general, also, I love paintings, I love art. So that's why kindly bear with me for a few more minutes before we move on to the actual topic. The reason why I'm going so much into detail of this particular piece of art is so that tomorrow, just like a bandhani skirt or a kolhapuri chappal, nobody else should give us back our own art. So as a law student, as an IPR student, it is also important that you understand what is your history, how impactful was your history. So, coming back to Raja Ravi Varma, what was so unique was how he used ordinary Indian women as models for goddesses and mythological characters. He would, as I said earlier, dress them in Indian attire, Indian saris, jewelry, and make, you know, divine figures appear out of common people, which was something very unique. Uh, and this was something that's very revolutionary because it created an emotional connect between devotion and art. Uh, he also he was engaged by Maharaja Sayaji Rao Gaikwad III of Baroda, who greatly admired his work, and he invited him to Baroda, where he painted some of the most celebrated masterpiece. If you even go to Baroda Palace today, you can find a lot of his artwork over there. Even today, many of his artworks are preserved inside the palace collection, and it's something that's invaluable treasure of Indian art history. Now, uh, why is he so famous? I mean, we've had a lot of artists, but we had a lot of sculptures. Why is Raja Ravi Varma so famous? Because in 1890s he established Ravi Varma Printing Press. Now, until then, his paintings were accessible only to kings, palaces, and wealthy families. Now, through lithographic printing technology, he could mass produce his prints of the paintings, and even ordinary households would have beautiful images of uh, goddess Lakshmi, Saraswati, Rama, Krishna, and other deities. So if you watch this movie Rang Rasya, there's a very beautiful scene wherein this whole emotion of people getting overwhelmed when they see God coming out of temple to offer his darshan to the subjects is expressed. It's very beautiful. You have to watch the movie. The movie has some nudity, but it's beautiful. Now, this is something that completely transformed the religious culture in India. Today, his paintings are preserved in some of India's most prestigious museums and royal collection. Uh, Raja Ravi Varma, he passed away in 1906, but his legacy is something that continues to live in Indian homes. It continues to live in museums, uh, textbook, art, culture, everywhere. So, coming back to today's topic, today we are going to discuss a topic where, law, luxury, um, creativity, celebrity culture, and business all collide. Now, intellectual property rights in fashion industry, especially through, one of the biggest events in the world, that is a Met Gala. Now, every year, millions of people across the globe, they wait to see celebrities, uh, walk the Met Gala carpet in their dramatic outfits, couture designs, jewelry, and, all the unique creations. But if you see behind every outfit, it's not just fashion. There are contracts, there are copyrights, there are trademarks, there are design rights, brand licensing agreements, image rights, and sometimes even a lot of legal disputes. So, today we are going to understand how intellectual property rights operate in the fashion industry and why such events are, legally very fascinating. So, let's talk about where exactly is this whole event held. Why we need to understand, so that we can understand which laws apply. So, where exactly is Met Gala held? Now, the Met Gala is an annual fundraising event which is held for the Costume Institute of Metropolitan Museum of Art in the New York City. So, it's often said that it's one of the biggest night for the fashion industries. So a lot of celebrities, designers, models, influencers, athletes, business leaders, everybody attends, wearing outfits which are designed according to the yearly theme. This year's theme, as you know, is fashion is art, and this theme is, as you know, approved by Anna Wintour. I don't need to tell who she is, and with the latest movie coming out, Devil Wears Prada 2, we will know much more about her on, who the character is loosely based. This session is going to have a lot of movie reference. So if you want to be an IPR lawyer, you have to be someone who's deeply interested in art. You have to be someone who understands art, or who understands um, art in any form, whether it's cinema, paintings, fashion. You have to understand it beyond the common man. You don't need technical knowledge of the same. But once you appreciate art, once you understand the designs, once you understand the nuances, it will be very easy for you to look out for the technical points or the technical loopholes. Now, these themes or these designs are not something that's very random. Designers have spent months. We all know Isha Mani Sari took some 1200 man hours to from conceptualizing to making it a reality. Now, these costumes or these coutures, they don't only, uh, they're not only for that event. They tell a story. There is a history. There is an architecture. There is art. There is culture. And that is exactly why intellectual property becomes extremely important. Now, let's talk about why fashion is very important from an IPR perspective, because till now, we've never considered fashion as a part of IPR. So, when you talk about fashion, it's not something that just covers your body, it's not just clothing, it is much more beyond that. It is also intellectual property. Today we are going to focus more on the luxury brand, because every luxury brand, they invest basically uh, heavily into original designs, into logos, let's say brand identity, fabric patterns, embroidery, packaging, advertising campaigns, celebrity endorsement, runway concepts, digital content, etc. And without intellectual property protection, copying would have destroyed the innovation. Now imagine if a luxury brand spends crores of rupees creating a very unique couture design, and within 24 hours some fast fashion company replicates it cheaply, which quite often happens to smaller companies. Small Instagram pages, they just launch a design, and within 24 hours you can find a cheap copy of the same on Instagram, on Amazon and Misho violates a lot of, IPR like that. I've come across a lot of cases. So now that is something that directly affects the creativity as well as the commercial value. Now let's talk about what exactly is IPR, or how copyright works in fashion. So under the copyright law, uh, we have the original artistic works which receive protection. So in fashion, let's say copyright may apply to textile prints, surface ornamentation, embroidery patterns, sketches and drawings, your fashion photographs, your fashion films, your runway music, your promotional campaign. Now, however, there is something that's very important legal debate globally. Can the outfit itself be copyrighted? Now, in many jurisdictions, including India and the US, uh, purely functional clothing is difficult to protect through the copyright, because copyright protects artistic expressions and not the utility. A plain black gown may not receive a copyright protection, but maybe a gown with a unique sculptural embroidery, or maybe artistic motif or distinctive artistic expression may receive the limited protection. And that is why fashion brands, they often rely on multiple forms of intellectual property protection together. For example, we all know about the little black dress, the LBD, which is very popular among girls. Uh, you may not get IPR protection for a little for your LBDs, but you will definitely get, your protection if it has been designed in a certain way, if it has been protected. If there is some unique design, there's some unique neckline, there's some unique motif that is used, then in that case it can be protected. Let's talk about the trademark in the fashion industry. So when you talk about trademark, it's probably the most powerful intellectual property tool in fashion, because a trademark, it protects the brand identity, it protects the logo, and it protects the brand for who it is. Now, some of the most valuable trademarks in the world, they belong to your fashion houses such as Louis Vuitton, or your Gucci, your Chanel, your Dior's, your Hermes, etc. Their logos, monograms, patterns, and even signature color combinations are something that's legally protected. For instance, you have your Louis Vuitton LV monogram across the bag, or any of their outfits. You have Gucci stripe design, you have Chanel's double C logo, you have Louis Vuitton's red sole shoes. Now, these are not just fashion symbols. They are something that's legally enforceable intellectual property assets, which are worth billions of dollars. Okay. Now, let's talk about design rights and fashion. Now, another major, protection which is available in fashion is design protection. In India, under the Designs Act 2000, or original visual designs which are relating to shape, configuration, pattern, ornamentation, or composition can be protected. Now, for fashion designers, this can include jewelry designs, your handbag shapes, your textile patterns, your footwear aesthetics, your garment structures, etc. Your design resignation, it becomes important. Your design registration, sorry, it becomes uh, important because fashion trends move rapidly, and copying it is something that's extremely normal. Not normal, it's common. So let's talk about the Met Gala and legal ownership of the designs. So Basically, when a celebrity wears a custom couture outfit at the Met Gala, who owns the design? Now, for this, the answer usually depends on the contract. Usually, it is the fashion house who owns the intellectual property rights in garment design. Uh, as I said, a lot of outfits at the Met Gala are, loaned by designers. So, in such case, celebrities receive very limited rights to wear the outfit. That is, they can just wear the outfit for this particular duration. It has to be maintained, it has to be managed, etc. Now, photographs which are taken from these events, they may involve image rights and licensing rights. So, if you see some, you know, fashion houses, they have their exclusive photograph first. Some have, like Vogue or Vanity Fair has got exclusive interviews with these celebrities. Why? It's not randomly that they are picked up. They do have a contract which is signed well in advance. So fashion publications often obtain publishing permissions. They have special photo shoots which are done with these celebrities way prior to the actual event. It's just that they're released on the day of event, but these photo shoots are either done earlier or they are done later. Mostly they are done earlier. Now, for example, if a celebrity is wearing a couture gown, which is designed specifically for the Met Gala, reproducing, or commercially exploiting the design without authorization, it may also lead to further legal issues. Let's talk about the other IPR, that is celebrity image rights and publicity rights. Now, one of the most commercially valuable aspects of the Met Gala is celebrity visibility. uh, Here, all the celebrities are brands themselves. So the face, the personality, uh, you know, the the reason why you have these celebrities is they are the huge brand. They are there to promote themselves. They are there to promote the brand. For example, we have Bhavita, who is the face of Chanel, and she is there to represent Chanel. We have Manish Malhotra, Karan Johar, Diya Mehta, Mona Patel, Isha Ambani, Ananya Birla, who are there to represent themselves because they are a huge brand themselves. So, when an individual is a huge brand, let's come down to the topic of image rights or publicity rights. Now, when you are representing a brand, you often enter into an endorsement agreement, which basically determines on how a photograph can be used, which social media platforms can they post the content, what is the duration of the campaign to promote it, the revenue sharing, and the exclusivity clause. Now, a single Met Gala appearance can influence fashion sales globally within hours, and this has also happened previously. Okay, so this is something important, and I'll come down to you on why I have been talking so much about image rights. So if you see that as soon as an image of a celebrity at a very important event like Met Gala comes up, we have a lot of people who comment on whether their outfit is good or bad. Basically, it's a review. We also have a lot of people who recreate their images with AI. Who owns the IPR in such a case, and whether it is legally permitted or not? Let's talk about it later. So let's come down to fast fashion versus luxury fashion. I am not a fan of, sorry, fast fashion, because I don't know. I mean, why wear something that 10 other people are already wearing? Yeah, I know saying this by wearing the most mundane clothing, but if I were to, uh, pick up something that's unique, something that I'm going to wear at a wedding, I would prefer something that's traditional and has heritage. So one of the biggest, legal controversies in fashion is copying by the fast fashion brands. So luxury designers may spend months, creating an original couture piece, but once a celebrity appears, wearing the design, replicas, they flood the market almost instantly. I mean, the number of people I have seen, replicating, and they're replicated with the name of the celebrity. So When it's a big fashion house, they manage to send legal notices. What about small designers? Once small designers release their fashion, they don't have much followers. It becomes very challenging for them. So this also brings us to a few important, questions like: is inspiration the same as copy? When we talk about inspiration, is getting inspired by some idea same as copy? Where exactly do we draw the line between homage and infringement? For example, in today's Met Gala, if you have seen, uh, Karan Johar walking around with the cape, in which there is paintings, which is again hand painted by an artist. The paintings of Raja Ravi Varma. It is recreated. Is it a homage or is it infringement? Do let me know in the comment section. Can fashion truly remain exclusive in the age of social media? This is something that's very challenging because the moment a design is released, now there are some huge fashion houses which ensure that their designs are not copied. Some of the designers are quite okay with their designs being copied. The number of raids that you have in case of trademark infringement is immense. For example, you have your Manish Malhotra lehengas, Sabyasachi lehengas. You get first copies at, I don't even need to mention those places. You know where you get it, right? Is it legal ethically and morally and legally? So moving on further, remember what I just spoke about 5 minutes ago? As soon as an image of a celebrity comes in, there is, viral videos that are created. That is, people will be commenting on it. They'll say, Ki, yeah, this is correct, this is wrong. It should have been this way. She should have worn this color. I would have designed, I would have dressed her up in this manner. I would have dressed her up in that manner. Is it legally and morally right to use somebody's image and recreate it? So today, AI is creating fashion sketches, digital garments, and even Met Gala looks virtually. Who owns the copyright of this AI generated fashion? Is it the programmer, the user, or the AI company? And this is something that's becoming a huge debate globally because AI, along with all the IPR concerns, there are other concerns regarding, deep fake celebrity endorsements. You have unauthorized digital replicas. You're having a virtual fashion duplication. You have NFT based, fashion collections. So the future of fashion law will definitely depend on how legal systems regulate artificial intelligence. So, what may seem harmless, what may even seem as fun, may not be fun. It may actually be a legal infringement. Let's talk about cultural appropriation. Because at global fashion events, cultural appropriation is also important. For example, somebody calling an Indian dupatta Scandinavian scarf, that's why it matters a lot. So sometimes designers do borrow elements from traditional fashion cultures, like traditional cultures like tribal art. You have religious symbols, you have indigenous fashion without permission or acknowledgement, which has been happening quite often. And if you see, in the beginning, I spoke about Raja Ravi Varma and his paintings for about 10 minutes, so that today a Karan Johar has worn it and we are all proud. Tomorrow, some other Hollywood celebrity may wear the same designs and not even acknowledge that art. Like, they have not even acknowledged the bandhani, or they have not even acknowledged the Kolhapuri chappals, which are of Indian origin. That is why your awareness about the art matters a lot. If you're borrowing, if you're inspiring, if you're getting inspired, you need to give due credit for the same. Because cultural appropriation, it also creates legal as well as ethical concerns, which involve your traditional cultural expressions, your indigenous intellectual property, your community rights, your moral rights. And countries are, constantly discussing on how traditional art and cultural heritage should be protected from your commercial exploitation. Now let's talk about your social media memes and fair use. So Met Gala is something that trends very heavily on your social media, and that is, a little bit it is promoted, a little bit it is the curiosity of people, but it also creates a lot of copyright questions. Can users repost celebrity photographs? Can creators use Met Gala images for their commentary videos? Can these same fashion memes be monetized? Now, this is exactly where concepts like fair use, transformative use, and digital licensing becomes very important. If you see some of the celebrities or some of the fashion houses, they just get the post removed. They have their own social media team which ensures that nobody creates memes, nobody gives any negative reviews. Some people are like, okay, negative review is fine. Any publicity is a good publicity. So fashion houses today also spend heavily on social media to ensure that their brand name is not tarnished. Because the other day I was telling somebody that I know brands who spend more on social media marketing to ensure that no negative publicity is done than positively promoting their product. Unfortunately, it has become the harsh reality. So let's talk about fashion law in India. So in India, it's still at a very niche stage, at a very nascent stage, but it's becoming, uh, very important because India basically has a massive textile industry. There is growing consumption. We have a lot of independent and extremely talented designers. Uh, we've seen the growth of influencer marketing and what social media marketing can do, fashion startups, etc. Now, what are the laws that today a big fashion house is relying on? One is, of course, your trademark registration. Second is copyright protection, design registration, their licensing agreements, their influencer contract. Because today, fashion is not just an art; it is much more. It's an intellectually driven business today. So the next time you watch Met Gala, remember that behind every dramatic outfit lies an entire ecosystem of creativity, contracts, branding, and intellectual property law. So fashion today is not only about glamour, it is also about the ownership. It's also about your commercial identity. It is about protecting creativity in a very highly competitive digital world. And as AI and social media continue to transform fashion and IP law, it will become even more important in shaping the future of the industry. So thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments which Met Gala look do you think was the most iconic of all time. I personally loved Sudha Reddy and Isha Mani, and Karan Johar was just like wow. Thank you so much and have a great evening.